Prophecy, Nigerian-like prophecy. This is Prince for TV for Nigeria. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Kindly subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification. If you done so, I say big thank to you. Share my video, thumb up, like. The killing, raping, banditry, and kidnapping. Nnamdi Kanu prophecy. Nigeria never takes serious. It is with a great pleasure presenting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of Indigenous people of Biafra. One-on-one interview with Dele Momohdu.
My name is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I lead the Indigenous people of Biafra. And also I am the director of Radio Biafra and Biafra Television. And my job and my duty is to serve the people of Biafra up until the restoration of the stolen sovereignty of Biafra land is restored. And also to an extent to also serve Nigerian youths as well. I think since the whole protest started, we have been serving them very diligently every morning and every evening. And it is something that we should be able to continue into the foreseeable future or until all the demands made by the young people are met by ASROC.
Could you tell us about your background, your parentage, schools attended, and all that, please?
Schools attended, my background is quite simple. My late parents, His Royal Majesty Ezekiel Kanu, and my mom as well, Lord Odumegwu Emeka Ojukwu. And I went to Labra Avenue Primary School, which was a model primary school in Umuahia, arguably one of the finest. And then I attended the best secondary school in the world, I believe, Fisher High School, then named Government College Umuahia, the same alma mater as Chinua Achebe, Ken Siro-Wiwa, and Sikwene Kwensi, and a whole host of other people who have gone on to at least make an indelible mark in our consciousness, if not in our society. And then from there, I went to University of Nigeria in Nsukka, where I spent about 2 years, and they weren't doing anything that I felt enhanced my ability to understand what I was there for. I had to travel to England, where I studied politics and economics at now London Metropolitan University. I've worked in various capacities. I'm actually the owner of Alpha Phoenix Consulting Limited in the UK, which is a consultancy firm, an economic development consultancy firm. I did actually work with a lot of people like Genesis and all the rest of them, where I held managerial positions until my calling. And that calling is to help restore the kingdom of God on the face of this very earth. And that's what we've been doing for very many years now.
Fantastic. So growing up, who were your heroes, your mentors?
I think my father was number one. Only two people in my life have seriously impressed me. One was my dad, that I was very close to, that I learned a lot of things from. We never actually spoke that very often, but I used to sit around and watch him conduct his counsel, the way he adjudicated in cases and the things that he did, and most of the morals that he left me with. I remember on one occasion, I asked my father, why is it that even after Sunday service, when we get back home, normally if I go to my friend's house and you ask after their father, they'll tell you that their dad is sleeping or doing something of that sort. But in my house, any time there's a knock on the door, my father will encourage us to open the door. And I kept wondering why. And he said, if you have nothing to hide, then you should be able to answer every knock on the door. That is why you need to keep your hands very clean. And throughout my life, apart from the time that these criminals, these savages came to my house, the police had never been to my house or the army with a hostile intent. Operation Python Dance on the 14th of September of 2017 was the very first time in my entire life that the army or the police entered my house with intention either to enforce the law or to kill or to arrest or to pillage or to destroy, the very first time. So my father was number one. The second person is Thomas Sankara. the late Thomas Sankara because of how he managed to turn Burkina Faso around from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, and the miracle he was able to perform. For the very first time in living memory, it was demonstrated that should Black people put their minds to something, they can make something out of nothing. From being a basket case, they became the largest exporter of food across West Africa under the, should I say, the leadership of this brilliant and very brave young man, Thomas Sankara. So just those two people.
Okay, fantastic. I think before we continue, it would be nice for me to ask if this is the real Mazi Nnamdi Kanu or the clone one.
I can pull my ear for you. You can see I'm trying to exert as much pressure as I can. The clown in Asorok has 2 ears. I only have 1. You can see my glasses. I can take it off. You can see there is no other appendage anywhere behind this one. It's only one. I can pull my nose for you. You know it is me. In fact, I can even bring, if you'll pardon me, I have here with me the mask that everybody has to wear these days. You can see that my ear is not bent, is it? You can see that it's normal, it's not bent. But the clown in Asorok, when he's wearing his own mask, you see that his ear will be bent, like that. Mine is not bent. So it is the real me. And of course, I have this mark here and it's unmistakable.
Yes, I just wanted to establish that you are alive because I read somewhere that you were dead. And so I wanted to be sure I'm not making history by talking to a dead man in heaven.
Not at all. I am here live with you on this program. Dele.
Fantastic. So could you tell me some of the books that you read that might have influenced you? I don't want to say radicalized you. I would say influenced you.
Growing up was, as with most of my peers, is Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. That is number 1. Because it's reminded us of who we are, where we are coming from, and where we should be heading to. So that very book was pivotal in shaping my understanding of my people and what needs to be done to rectify the damage that colonialism had done to our people. The second one I would say is Alex Haley's Roots. Again, in that very book, it reminded me or reinforced the need for the Republican zeal that burns in each and every Biafran, that we see ourselves as equal before any other race around the world, and our belief, cardinal belief, that all men are created equal before God. Given the heroic sacrifice those people made at Savannah in Georgia, in America, many centuries back. I also read Leon Uris's Exodus. It's about the Jewish Holocaust and the reestablishment of the State of Israel. Again, a very decent pointer towards where Biafra should be heading to. Those 3 books, Things Fall Apart, Alex Haley's Roots, and Leon Uris's Exodus. They're my 3 favorite books.
I've read a lot about your religious beliefs, but could you tell us about your faith?
I worship the one true God in heaven that incidentally every religion on this earth believes, or should I say, worship as well. I believe I am a follower of Yeshua, Jesus Christ. I believe I worship where Jesus worshipped. I worship the same God that Jesus Christ worshipped. I praise the same God that Jesus Christ praised. And one of my favorite prayers actually was the prayer that Jesus prayed when he was asked to teach the disciples how to pray. And he said, "Our Father who art in heaven," which goes to confirm the supremacy of Almighty God in heaven, bar none, the name above all names. And it is exactly the religion of my forefathers. My ancestors worshipped God and God alone. We answer Nwachukwu. From the names we give our children, we glorify God. And if you go to my village right now, all you hear about Ikechukwu, Odinaka Chukwu, everything is about God. So I don't need to be tutored or to be told by anybody who God is, because God is ever present in our lives, and that is the God that I worship. Sometimes people tend to mistake it because the only modern interpretation of that very religion is Judaism. The only modern interpretation of this ancient religion is modern day Judaism. So that is why I tend to gravitate towards Judaism. But as I said, I am a follower of the teachings of Jesus Christ. But I practice Judaism in the main.
I was privileged to meet the late Chief Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu in his lifetime. In fact, Ovation had exclusive access to his wedding, to his wife, Lady Bianca. What was your relationship with him? Did you ever meet him? And did you draw inspiration whatsoever from him?
Yes, he is our eternal leader. And that was the title that I gave to him in recognition of the very stellar work that he did, trying to save a people that didn't want to be saved. And also, I had come in contact with him in London. We invited himself, Peter Obi Chekwasokore, to come to London. That was in the year 2002, if I'm not mistaken. And I consider it an honor that where he stayed, the hotel he stayed in London, I paid for it. So I had sat with him on a few occasions and benefited from his immense counsel. The reason why we want to honor him by restoring Biafra. And only then will the whole world know in how much esteem we actually hold him. To us, he's an icon. To us, he's our Moses. To us, he is the forebearer. To us, he is everything. And Ojukwu to us, it means a whole lot more than people can ever imagine. And the few times that I sat with him and he spoke, he said a lot of things. In fact, the role that the British played during the war, he was the one that made me to actually realize what they did and the need for us to be very careful. The journalists that were interviewing him, especially from BBC, in their typewriters were, should I say, listening devices that were transmitting everything Ojukwu was saying all the way back to London. And that made it possible for them to sabotage that very effort, or should I say, to undermine it, especially what transpired at Aburi, that we now have the tapes and records of. So I sat with him and I discussed with him, and it was very informative, very fruitful, and I learned a lot from him, something that will continue to guide me as we proceed on this very important and critical journey towards the restoration of Biafra.
Fantastic. Now we'll get to the area of my bazookas. Now it's time to fire a few bazookas at you.
Go ahead.
You've been seen by many as waging a war against your country, Nigeria, by seeking a Biafra nation. What led to your decision?
First of all, Nigeria is not my country. I was born a Biafran. My birth certificate reads Biafra, and no one has ever changed that. The fact that I was at some point or the other in possession of a Nigerian passport does not actually confer upon me their citizenship. I saw the Nigerian passport as a mere travel document because my birth certificate issued at the time of my birth reads Biafra. Nobody of a sane mind will condone or accept what is happening in Nigeria. I believe that genuine attempts have been made in the past to try to remedy the wreck that Nigeria is today, but there was a palpable unwillingness on the part of the powers that be to do something about it. I detest suffering and pain. I hate to see people suffer. I hate to see people in pain. The only thing that propels me, the only thing that drives me towards this very agitation is not born out of hatred for anybody, but a desire to test freedom in our time. Nigeria was not constructed by a Yoruba man. If it were, I would have perhaps accepted. Nigeria was not created by a Fulani man. If that was the case, who knows, I may accept. Nigeria was not created by a Hausa man either. It wasn't created by a Nupe man. It wasn't created by a Gwari man. Never created by a Jukun man. Nigeria was not created by an Ijaw man. Not created by an Ibibio man. Nigeria was created by a white man and named by a white woman. The name Nigeria means awful, bad, evil. It means nigger, which is a swear word, is a slur in America. If a white person calls a black person nigger, they might end up in jail. Then why should I answer a name that is abhorrent before God and before man? Nobody came from all these ethnic groups. They never got together to say, as from today our name should be Nigerian. A white man determined that. I cannot go to England and say to English people, I want to rename Liverpool. I want to give it another name. I'm sure they'll think I'm mentally, unstable and put me in jail. Now, the problem is this. Why should Africans accept the name Nigeria? It doesn't mean anything in Yoruba language, doesn't mean anything in Hausa language, doesn't mean anything in Igbo language, but yet we are Africans. So I see it as a relic, or should I say a vestige of racism. I see Nigeria as an abomination, not just before God, but before man as well. Those with common sense, that is the reason why I like Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara changed the name from Upper Volta, that had no meaning, to Burkina Faso. Now, I wonder why educated, very savvy and enlightened Nigerians cannot see it. You have half of Yoruba land in Benin Republic. Some are in Togo. For over 20 years, I have been a very vocal advocate of a Yoruba nation that will also encompass the Yorubas in Benin Republic and those in Togo, because they are Yoruba people. Wouldn't that be very wonderful? Why should white people come from Europe and decide that some Yorubas should be Togolese, some should be from Benin Republic, and some should be from Nigeria? You're a Yoruba man. What do you have in common with a Kanuri man? Absolutely nothing. But I can tell you, you have something in common with a Yoruba man in Togo. You have something in common with a Yoruba man in Benin Republic. Why should you see a Kanuri man as your fellow citizen in Nigeria and not a Yoruba man who lives just a stone throw from Badagry? So these are the anomalies that Africans need to sit down to address. That is why we have arrested development. That is why nothing seems to be working. Because the convergence of these diverse value systems from the core Arewa North, from the West and from the East is making it impossible for Nigeria to function as a viable state. And that is a recognition that we must, at this very point in time, be able to address as educated people. Not that I hate Nigeria. I hate the name. I despise it with a passion. If you allow me, I wouldn't exist tomorrow morning. Anybody who answers or addresses him or herself as a Nigerian is a product of neocolonialism, not something that I am prepared to accept, because Nigeria never existed until Flora Shaw gave her that name, Nigeria. Before that, you had Oduduwa, before that, you had Biafra, before that, you had Kanu Empire, and all these wonderful and weird civilizations. Now, a white man cannot come from Europe and then create an identity for me. Only God in heaven can do that. And I can give an identity to my dog. The only thing you can name are your children and your pets. They are not our fathers. They are Caucasians. We are Black Africans. They have no right being in Africa and giving us names. And that I will never ever accept.
Military and security experts have said it is impossible for any country to fight 2 civil wars without monumental repercussions. Have you considered this, and what lessons did you learn from the last Nigerian Civil War?
The lessons that I will learn from the last war, if I can begin by addressing your last question, is that we should not have given up. Even though we were overawed as a result of a global conspiracy of unprecedented proportions. Biafra-Nigeria war was the Third World War, because in that war, if you leave Nigeria and Biafra alone, Biafra would defeat Nigeria anytime, any day. Pound for pound, Biafra would defeat Nigeria anytime, any day, and I make bold to say this. But Britain got involved. They imposed a no-fly zone over Biafra land. They imposed air, land, and sea blockade to stop us from getting food and arms. But they went behind the back of the world to negotiate with Russia to supply arms to Gowon. They even brought in Egyptian pilots to fly their planes for them. Nigeria has never won any war in its history. Ordinary Boko Haram, they are begging Niger, they are begging Chad, they are begging Cameroon to help them. They've never won any war. The only thing they specialize in doing is killing civilians, as they did at Lekki Tollgate. That's what they can do. Nigeria has never fought any war. An army is meant to go out to win territories for the country that it claims is coming from. The same way that Lugard led an expeditionary force to come to create Nigeria for the crown in Britain. Nigerian soldiers have not done that before. Anywhere they go, they're humiliated and they come back. So I wouldn't actually see, I wouldn't describe what transpired between 67 to 70 as a Biafra-Nigeria war. It's Biafra versus the whole world. The United States was ambivalent. They never actually, should I say, participated as they should. Britain was there running the whole show. They destroyed Aburi Accord, destroyed the agreement reached between Ojukwu and Gowon. They came back and they instigated a war. That was all they did. There was not, I wouldn't see it as a war. And I want to let Nigeria understand this. There is that tendency, that what I call the Fulani Janjaweedism, there is that tendency to intimidate, that tendency to terrorize, that tendency to subdue, overraw, and then conquer people. It is not going to happen in our time. They will try, but they will fail. The more they focus their attention in the East, the more the terrorists that they themselves spread in the North will overrun them there. So I am not in any way, shape, or form either phased or overawed. They will come again because it's in their nature, and this time around they'll be roundly defeated.
Well, I think with due respect to our men and women of armed forces, I believe they are well rated. I visited them in Liberia, I visited them in Sierra Leone. In Liberia, we were controlling 10 out of 15 counties. In Sierra Leone, in fact, we actually lost one of our brigadiers, and the Sierra Leoneans are eternally grateful to us, because but for the support from Nigeria, both countries, I don't know what would have happened to them. In fact, at the time, Professor Adeniji was the head of the Nancy in Sierra Leone. I think it would be unfair to describe as military as weak. It is possible, yes, that they got support from somewhere else. Of course, there are allies. That's why you had NATO. In fact, it's one of the reasons a lot of people are angry with America under Trump, that he has virtually collapsed the relationship, military ties to other countries. So I'll leave it at that. But then I want to go to the next question. The Igbos are obviously marginalized in the political configuration of Nigeria, but they have done extremely well globally in business, in sciences, in commerce, and so on. Won't they risk a lot of these spectacular achievements if you decide to go the way you want to go?
I should have thought that your question should be along the line of, had those people been in Nigeria, don't you think that Nigeria would be a better place? For instance, but it's never happened and will never happen for the following reasons: resentment, envy, and the need for the Fulani Janjaweed Caliphate to dumb down the standard of excellence so that everybody can become an Alumajiri. That's exactly what I have done. I am not shocked nor surprised that we are recording not just, Igbo people or Biafrans, but Yorubas are doing the same thing as well all over the place. It's there. What I then want to ask people is this: why is it that we cannot wake up one morning and hear that there is one Fulani mathematician in Florida doing very well, maybe working for NASA? Why is it that we have not woken up one morning to hear there is one Fulani man or woman voted in as a mayor or as a parliamentarian somewhere in Europe. It will never ever happen, because that is not their orientation. That is not how they were brought up to see society. The recognition of people's skills and talents is a prerequisite for the driving of any progressive society. That hasn't happened in Nigeria, because if you're not from the north, may God help you. Why is Nigeria suffering today? Nigeria is suffering because of successive regimes of mediocrity and sub-standardization, for the simple reason that people do things based on ethnicity. People want to protect their tribe. Even if they're performing very badly, they want their tribe to become preeminent. And in the process, those men and women who are skilled, who are well-read, who are well-learned, they get forgotten. And then, of course, they travel abroad, and you can see their excellence come to the fore. And that's exactly what has been happening. What we are saying is that once we have Biafra, they will all come back home. And Biafra will quite rightly become the light of Africa and black people all over the world. Because without Biafra, black Africa will keep floundering, and there can never be any progress.
I'm sure you know that politics is a game of numbers. And it has been theorized that the domination you complain about of the what you call the Fulani hegemony has been made possible because of the lack of unity amongst the peoples of North Central, Southeast, South-South, and Southwest. And that if they unite, they will be able to end the perpetual dominance of the so-called Northern oligarchy. Do you agree?
100%. And that was why some of us threw our weight behind our children. Some people will say, refer to me as a youth, but I'm not. I'm a very old man. I may look young, but I'm a very old man. Now, the reason why we supported our young people was because for the first time in living memory, we managed to bridge that divide, to bring everybody closer around an issue that is of importance and concern to all these people. Were you not surprised when, following what transpired on the 20th of this very month, the same people that have failed and will continue to fail, the same leadership structure, or should I say the same cozy boys club that they formed, if your father is passing on, he will hand you over to the next buffoon to groom you in this politics of mediocrity that you find in Nigeria. Were you not surprised and shocked that the same people managed, or should I say succeeded, in introducing the tribal and ethnic dimension into what we are doing? Those of us in the South, I am proud of the should I say the understanding that those of us in the East have with our Yoruba brothers in the West, and of course, as time goes on, also Middle Belt. There is now a recognition that we are our own worst enemies. In Katsina State, there are other tribes other than Hausa and Fulani. In Katsina. In Bauchi, the same thing. All across the north. It is not a homogeneous society. The only thing that binds them together is just their language. Underneath, if you scratch the surface, you will begin to see a lot of, they have more ethnic groups in the north than you have in the south. Many more in the north than have in the south. But over the years, the Fulani oligarchy have managed to should I say, moderate their differences. And despite what is going on underneath, they have always succeeded in presenting this united front for the north. Anytime we try that in the south, they bring in their, what people are referred to as professional gossipers. They bring in people who will always do their best to divide us, because the north understands. Any day the Igbo and the Yoruba put their differences behind them, get their acts together, for goodness sake, Nigeria will be a better place. Everybody knows that very well. So in order not to allow that to happen, they now appoint, or should I say rig, our governors into office. They go to Ohanese, they bribe a few people to go to Afenifere, they identify one or two people to, should I say, to groom, to do their dirty jobs for them. And what is that dirty job? You saw it in full view and in full display on the 20th. People that claim they went to school, people that claim they are senior advocates, people that claim they're enlightened, were the ones that introduced the tribal and ethnic dimension into that very successful protest. And you can see where we are today. They are rejoicing in the north, they're having fun in the north. That thing they have always done, once again they have done it, but of course they cannot break us. This time around, we just want to let them understand this. The unity between the Igbos and the Yorubas is deeper than EndSARS protest. It is far more fundamental than they can even imagine.
Now, is Biafra your only option, or you are willing to work with other so-called oppressed peoples to form a union like it is in the United Arab Emirates?
Everything depends on what the people want. I am a Democrat. I am a Republican by genetic disposition. Anything the people want is what they're going to get. My dream and my mission is Biafra. Let's say during a referendum, people decide we want to be, yes, Biafra is good. We can answer Biafra within a union that comprises of Middle Belt, of Oduduwa and Biafra with a new name. Who am I to say no? I'm a Democrat. Whatever the majority decides is what I'm going to do. But as for us, we are pursuing Biafra. And I will also help the Oduduwa people to pursue the Oduduwa Republic. I will help the Middle Belt to do the same. But one thing is paramount. Should our people decide at a referendum or plebiscite to say, we want to maintain a semblance of union with Oduduwa and the Middle Belt, who am I to say no? I am a Democrat and I will go with it. But my primary concern now is the restoration of Biafra.
An audio surfaced recently, I think about 2 weeks ago. It was sent to me by a family member, in which your voice, we heard your voice, directing your operatives to hit certain targets in Lagos. What led to this in a state that has really embraced the people of Southeast and South extractions? If that was your voice, do you regret the action, and are you willing to apologize for it?
It is my voice, but what I said was cut and joined together to suit the very message or narrative that our detractors were, should I say, determined to peddle. If you listen to the whole broadcast that I made, you will find out that that very audio that those people, those charlatans put out there in the public domain is not exactly what I intended. But I have said this before and allow me to repeat. If by making the pronouncement that I made on that very day that I was misunderstood, or that the true intentions of what I was wishing or willing to convey was somehow misconstrued, then I apologize for it. Because I believe that it is very, very important that we understand this. I wouldn't want to do anything, either knowingly or unknowingly, to inflame passions in the West. I wouldn't wish to do anything that will cause my Yoruba brothers and sisters alike to think, should I say, to become jittery about what our true intentions are. You made reference to your operatives. I was addressing Nigerian youths right across Nigeria, not just in Lagos. And given the heat of the moment, people were being massacred. I'm not sure that most of those commentators and apologists for Asorok have had their homes invaded before. When Fela speaks, you can hear the way that Fela speaks all the time about Nigerian army and Nigeria police. Why? Because Fela was a witness when his house was invaded, and the mother died as a result of it. There's something happened to me. As a result of Nigerian military invasion of my house, My father is dead, and my mother is dead as well. So when people like us with a first-hand experience of the brutality of a very primitive security architecture in a country as backward as Nigeria, you can then begin to appreciate where we're coming from. If I spoke out of turn, if people who listened to what I said misunderstood the true intentions behind the words that I uttered that night, then I do unreservedly apologize, because nobody can divide the Yorubas and the Igbos anymore. It's not going to happen. They will try, but they will not succeed. That I can assure them. What is of concern to us is that those responsible for the slaughter of those people are held responsible. The same way, I hasten to add that those who are responsible for the murder that we can order today going on in Obibo will be held accountable. They will and must be held accountable. I do apologize if I offended anyone, but no offense was intended in the first place. I gave an order to Nigerian youths right across the board to do what they did because the Nigerian state is evil. They believe in killing their own children. They believe in suppressing free speech. They believe in breaking up peaceful assembly with the use of force. That type of nonsense must come to an end, and they must be taught a lesson, and that was exactly what we did.
Okay, let me confess that it was actually that audio that led me to looking for you. You see, I believe that journalists must help their nation to understand some certain people and personalities like yourself. And I want to say at this stage that I'm sending my special thanks to two people. One of them I can mention publicly, the other would not want me to mention him. And the first is Femi Fanikaude, my very dear friend and brother. I contacted him because I knew there is a special bond between the two of you. And he contacted someone else who contacted you. And I want to say thank you to both of them, so they know themselves. What is the relationship between you and Femi that every time I see that you are in the same direction?
He is very brave. He is urbane. He is polished and very erudite. He is a scholar and a conscientious one at that. You know, in Nigeria, you have scholars, people who just study for the sake of it, people who just read for the sake of it. He practicalizes what he understands to be humanity. And that is why I love him and respect him, and I call him a brother. He epitomizes what any intellectual should aspire to be. You intellectualize that is very true or very good, and then you must have a human side to yourself. He is de-tribalized, as you well know, and I'm sure that in time to come, he will have a very great role to play, if not in Ududuwa, but also in if Biafra were to come tomorrow, I will take him. And I'm sure that he will have a lot to contribute in making Biafra a better place for everybody to be in. So I have not only love for him, but also have regard for him.
Now, I'm sure you are aware that there are efforts to start a movement that will bring the Yorubas and the Igbos together and closer. Are you willing to play a major role in that union?
Yes, we are doing ours on the ground. You saw the protest on the 1st of October right across the world, Yoruba One Voice and IPOB. So we are doing ours. That was why I categorically stated, and without any equivocation, that the bond between the Yorubas and the Igbos can no longer be broken by anybody. They will try, but they will fail. It can't be broken anymore. So I am more than willing and able to serve in whatever capacity that's required of me to make sure that these two great nations pilot the affairs of Black people in Africa going forward. Because without them, Africa is doomed, more or less.
Now, I will plead with you to take the next question very softly, because as a Christian, I believe my faith teaches me to render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's. So which means I respect constituted authority. My question is about your best friend, our president and commander. Now, you propounded this theory of a cloned man, and that our current president is a Sudanese man called Jibril. Do you agree that your information might have been wrong, and you are also willing to apologize to him for that error? Anybody can make a mistake.
No, not at all. Buhari is dead and buried in a shallow grave in Saudi Arabia. Aisha Buhari was there. She came back from what they call the lesser Hajj. She was wearing black. She was mourning.
Of the interview. Do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and give my video a thumbs up.